Guess what? It's me again. Good morning to you. Good afternoon to you. Good evening to you. Wherever you are in the world, I just want to say thank you for tuning in to Win with Willie Leadership Talk Show. And you know what my mantras are? It's always a new year. And with that new year or that new day comes a new you. So thanks for being a new you. And also, guess what else? We must inspire until we expire because 2022, the year of no excuses. So I'm excited that you are joining me on Win with Willie Leadership Talk Show for this wonderful and this beautiful day. What we do not see, what most of us never suspect of existing, is a silent but irresistible power which comes to the rescue of those who fight on in the face of opposition. That quote is by Napoleon Hill. I just love that quote. But guess what? We all have that silent, irresistible power to fight on in the face of discouragement and opposition. Win with Willie Leadership Talk Show is about encouraging us to fight on, to lead on, to serve on, to grow on, reaching our fullest God-given potential and becoming the best version of ourselves. Because the best gift that we can give our family and our community and our organization is the best version of ourselves. The question is, how do we become the best version of ourselves? I'm so thankful that you asked. We must first learn to lead ourselves. You and I cannot give what we do not have. But I'm here today to tell you, we got someone that's going to be giving a lot today because today I have Mr. Inspirational, the talk master himself. Dr. John Mack is in the house with me today. I am honored. Let me read Mr. Mack, Dr. Mack's bio. You know what I said? He's Mr. Inspirational. He is the talk master. Dr. John Mack is the Amazon best-selling author of 22 published books through GPS, and it doesn't stand for Global Positioning System. It stands for Get Published Successfully. Dr. John Mack has assisted over 350. Let me say that. You guys get that? 350 authors to get their book published. He's a national recognized salesperson in education and auto sales, the #1 best-selling author of self-publish your own book. Make it your bestseller. Get published successfully. Dr. Mack is an international recognized salesperson. Guess what? In the automobile industry, ranking #1 with Mitsubishi Motors in 2001. He has successfully trained many salespersons using his highly successful sales book. It's called Sales is an Inside Job. In 2019, he received a Medal of Honor from the NCAACP for community empowerment. In 2021, he received an honorary doctorate degree from Christian University of Southern Indiana. Unparalleled coaching style has earned him loyal followers and supporters from around the globe. In 1982, he earned a Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Administration from California Baptist University in Riverside, California. So he's in Texas now, so thanks for being in Texas. He got here as soon as he possibly could. Dr. Mack has attended the University of Nebraska in Omaha, where he served as a Chief Justice of the Student Court. Dr. Mack is a 2003 graduate of Leadership Southwest, serving on the board of directors for 2 consecutive years. And Dr. Mack is a founding member of the National Prayer Calls and serving as an executive administrator. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Mack has spoken to audience across the globe, across this country, had appeared on radio and TV shows. And most importantly, he is an author. He is a coach. He is a trainer. He's a man of God. and he's also my friend. Dr. Mack, say something to my audience, sir.
Well, I think the most important thing that you can say is that friendship is essential to the soul. And I think that the Lord always talked about that there was a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. Friendship is the expressible feeling of being safe. With that person, there's no need to weigh thoughts, no measure words. With that person, you can think aloud. So I appreciate your friendship. You know, friendships are like any other ship. They rock and roll to the motion of the ocean, usually making it to shore. But if they don't, you did something wrong. Well, good morning, everybody.
Oh,
Pleasure to be here.
I'm telling you, ladies, you've already got a little touch and a little taste of the talk master, because he is definitely the talk master. And before we get started, I tell you what, we got a gentleman by the name of Ernie Thomas Jr. Look what he's saying already. Absolutely fabulous. Thank you, Ernest Thomas, for watching us. I'm telling you, man, we get ready to rock and roll, because the talk master is going to take us on a journey. He is getting ready to share some words of wisdom. It's going to transform how we think and how we lead our lives. So, Dr. Mack, sir, it is such an honor to have you on this show of Willie Leadership Talk Show. We've been waiting. I've been trying to get you on for a while. But absolutely,
it's incredible, and you're doing some big things too. So it's when you want something done, you want to find somebody that's busy, because if they're not busy, that means they ain't gonna be busy on what you want them to do as well. So,
man, it's a pleasure. Well, I'm going to do this, Dr. Mack. I'm going to start it out this way. You and I we met a long time ago. We met at a wedding. If you don't remember, we met at a wedding.
My pastor's wedding, yes.
We met at a wedding, and we have been connected. You talked about being from California, and I said, well, welcome to Texas. I'm glad you got here as soon as you possibly could.
Yeah, I said, what took you so long?
Absolutely. Well, I want to do this. I thought about it. I looked at my script. You know, we always, as a professional, you try to have a script. Sometimes you get away from that script. You do that because we both love to talk. We both love to share. But I want to start it out this way. I have a question that's buried inside my brain, and I know, and you and I know that when we enter a room, we are the youngest person in the room because of our mindset, because of our attitude. And I can tell people, and I'll be 65 in November, and you just recently turned 67, if not mistaken, sir.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I want to start it out this way. Before we get into what you do, I want to ask this question, and I want you to share with my audience, because I'm about a growth mind. I'm about living life. I'm about inspire until we expire. I use those formative words. But share with my audience the importance of always personal and professional development. Why is that so significant for you?
Well, it should be significant for everyone. Personal growth is how we get better. We get the better version, better iteration of ourselves. We are spirit beings living a human experience. And during this human experience, we have to put on this earth suit so that we can navigate through the atmosphere here. But the truth is, we're spirit beings, and on the inside of us, we vibrate, and that vibrational level is going to determine how we interact with people, circumstances, or like I call it the nouns, people, places, and things. How we're vibrating, the level and the frequency that we're vibrating at will determine that reality. Now, we can vibrate at the bottom fear frequency, where we will have none of the things we want. All the things that we're dreading will come upon us because we're at that fear, and we're pulling into us what we don't want to have, but we don't know that our frequency is making that happen. Now, at the other end of that spectrum is the faith frequency, where we can believe God and He wants to bless us and bring everything into our being. So with that being said, when you said you want to inspire before you expire, I said I want to be on fire until I expire. I want to be on fire at 67 years old. I don't have the whole volume of time in front of me. I know it's a finite amount of time. And in the last 67 years, I've lived an incredible life. Some of the individual things that I did would have been enough for most people to say this has been the crowning moment of my life. But I know that there's more. I know that God has more for me and that He wants me to be on fire. And when I'm on fire, my story matters and your story matters. So we want to be able to show that and share that.
Man, look at that. Look at that. Absolutely. Well, let me show you let me show you what Mr. Ernie Thomas is saying. Look what he's saying. Look what he's saying already. My life is being enriched already. Just listen to what Dr. Mack has to say. Spirit beings having an earth experience. So Ernest, thank you for your comments. I really appreciate your comment. The significance of personal growth is important. I like being around like-minded people, growth-minded people about that spirit, about that law of attraction. Because if you're growing, you attract people that are growing.
That are growing too.
If you're living, they're growing too, and you attract people that are living.
But that's Professor Willie, Professor Jeff, the key is you got to be intentional about that growth. Most people are unintentional and they just go through life laissez-faire, just allowing it to happen to them instead of taking control of it and focusing and directing it the way you want to go. That's how you inspire. That's how you get motivated and that's how you get liberated. When you have an intentional focus of what you want to see come about, and then you implement or execute the skill sets and the processes necessary to bring that into reality. Most of us have so little clarity. We're so unclear on our goals, dreams, focuses that we just think any kind of way, and that thought creates the result. So if you're not purposely and intentionally thinking of what you want to see come about, you know, they said that a boy said he wanted a ticket. I said, where you want to go? He said, I just want a ticket to take me anywhere. And then he ended up in Saskatchewan. And he got off the plane and like, I didn't want to go to Saskatchewan. But they said any ticket to take you anywhere will get you if you don't know where you want to go.
If you know where you want to go. Look at that, man. I'll tell you what. Ladies and gentlemen, the talk master has just preached a sermon. One of those moments you want to drop the mic and say, hey, absolutely. So grab those nuggets, ladies and gentlemen. It's important that we continue to provide and the gifts that God has placed in all of us. God wants you to use those gifts to order to serve mankind. But yes, you've got to be intentional about inspiring and growing yourself on a daily basis. Your thoughts matter. Control your thoughts. As James Allen said, as a man thinketh, so is he. Man thinketh, so is he. Well, let's get into what you do. But I want to start out. It was so important that we lay that foundation because I've had people on this talk show that are much older than you and I in their 70s. And last time I had a gentleman that was 79 and he was getting ready to go play a round of golf since he got off the show. He was just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So I'm attracted to men and women that are growing, that absolutely growing, because as we say, I don't like being around old people. I know we all have birthdays, but old mindset. As Thomas said, age is only a number. Is only a number. Absolutely, you get to pick the number. It's the mindset. You get to pick the number. You get to pick the number. So absolutely. Now tell us something interesting and fun fact about you. You have traveled the world. You have traveled the globe. You have published multiple books. We'll talk about that later. And you have done some phenomenal thing. You in charge of the National Prayer Ministry every Tuesday and Thursday as administrator for that as well. And all the different things that you're doing. Share with my audience some fun facts about you. What does Dr. John Mack do for fun?
Well, I love to play golf. I mean, it's just a very relaxing sport. But I like to travel. And I like to, when I get into a city, I don't want to just sit in a hotel room. I want to feel the city. I want to feel the soul of the city because the world is waiting for me to touch every portion of it. And if I go out of this life and I've only touched the four corners of my home or the couple streets that I reside on, too many people live in one area and have never been anyplace else. So I like to enjoy everything and everywhere. I love to write, but I like to read even more. So an intentional nerd. I'm a nerd on purpose. As being an African American man, it took courage and confidence and an inner power to be able to be a nerd, because people will look at you and they'll laugh at you and they'll dismiss you. But I was a popular nerd because I enjoy life so much.
Man, look at you. Intentional to being a nerd. I love to write, but I love to read more than I write. And guess what? Not only does he read, not only does he write, but he's a talk master too.
Well, you know what? They call me a wordsmith.
Absolutely.
That's just it's a gift to put words in. I studied the dictionary when I was. But see, my mama was pretty strict when I was a kid, so I didn't. If I got out of the lines of the boundaries that she set up, we were put on a restriction. And then, one time, she had me cut the grass, and she was going to pay me and my neighbor. Well, she gave me the money to pay my neighbor and told me. I said, "Where's my money at?" She said, "Boy, you live here." I said, "Mama, where's my money at?" I'm buffed up. She says, "Boy, you live here." I said, "Well, I ain't gonna cut your grass no more." She said, "Go pay him and come back and we'll talk about it." I came back. She whooped me and put me on restriction for a year. I had to stay home for a year. People all around was just, having fun. They was out there playing football in the streets. I lived next door to 4 very attractive females, and there was another one. So women all around me, and I'm sitting at home. I can't do nothing, can't go nowhere. But it taught me the value of enjoying a good book and of studying and focus. So that's put me to where I am today. So the trials that we go through, when we're going through them, we hate them. But when we get through them, they're the power that is pushing us to our purpose. So we look at our story, and your story matters. That's the most important thing I can say. Your story matters. And you're thinking, nobody wants to hear about my story. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. But what you have to say and what you've experienced and the subject matter expertise that you've developed could be the aspirin to someone's headache. What you've experienced and how you've overcome that, the methodology and the system that you use to come out of it is what someone else is saying, "Hey, I'm in it. Throw me a lifeline. Tell me how I can get past this pain, get over this situation, get through this trial." And your life, what you lived, your story could be the very thing that they need to inspire, motivate, or just kick them in the butt to get out of that situation.
Look what Ernie said about that. Absolutely. Your story matters.
It matters, yes.
Ernie, it matters. Ernie is right. Ernie is tracking with us today. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Before I go to another part of what you said, I just want to acknowledge some folks on Facebook that's watching. Samuel out of Forney, Texas is watching the show right now. Man, he is loving it, man. Humanity and love for one another. And Nikki out of Fort Worth, she's also watching the show as well. So Samuel and Nikki, I appreciate you watching the show. And Dr. Mack, you said something significant.
What's that?
You said something about story, because people see our glory. People see Dr. Mack glory, but people don't know your story. You mentioned something about the journey. You didn't say the word journey, but I want to say you got to learn to enjoy the journey. So tell the people about your journey and how you got here, because that's your story. And so we see the glory, but now share your story with the audience.
Most people, when they want to share their story, they want to do a drama dump. They want to say, "Hey, all this horrible stuff happened to me as a kid, and I haven't gotten past that." So they're stuck. They're in emotional enslavement. So what we're saying, well, when you say your story matters, that means that your success and your setbacks are important, that your trials and your triumph matter, that your obstacles and your opportunities matter, that your resources and your results matter, that yourself and your yielding matters. That's the circumference of your story, that your story is good and bad, up and down, but it matters. And so we're saying that you wouldn't be who you are or where you are had you not experienced what you experienced. Some of it was bad, and I'm sorry. Some of it was awesome, and I applaud. But we have to realize that our story isn't what we do. We're not our identity is not what we do. Our identity is the sum total of all that we've experienced. And as we begin to share ourselves to the world's going to see us, and they're going to see scars. They're going to see setbacks and circumstances, but they all also are going to see that glory that you spoke about earlier. So we have to be able to get control of the narrative of our story. And as I work with authors, they want to come and everybody wants to write a book. Everybody has a book in them that somebody wants and needs to read. And anybody can write a book with today's technology, but nobody can read a book that's never been written. But more importantly, the story that you write, Les Brown said, don't let what you're trying to say get in the way of what the person needs to hear. So when you
wait a minute. Hold now. Stop. Come on now. You can't throw that out there. And I got to repeat that to my audience. Come on now. Hold up the hand, man. Come on, get some cheerleading going on out there right now, folks. Okay. Come on. You got to repeat that, Dr. Mack. So it's coming from Les Brown. You quoted Les Brown.
He said, don't let
the message is powerful. Go ahead.
Don't let what you're trying to say get in the way of what people need to hear. Your audience, see, when you write a book, is it going to be a vanity experience, something that you can say, that you can beat your chest or walk around and twist and shake and say, look what I did, I'm an author? No, the purpose of the book is that your audience, your ideal avatar, has an issue that you want to address. And when you address it in such a way that they say, wow, I see where you are. Now I see where you've been, and I see how you got to where you are. And when you can tell that, share that story, unpack that story with a didactic direction so that there's a takeaway, that there's now sure, you can write a novel, you can write a cookbook, you can write just some trash. But when you're writing an intentional book, a what I call a brand building book, it allows you to take your subject matter expertise, your experience, your education, and then to download it and then create, use your insight and your ideas to increase your income, but also increase your influence and increase your impact.
Look at that. Another one of those moments. And look at this. Look what Ernie said. Come on here. Absolutely, Ernie. I'm sharing your comments. Ernie is engaged with us today. I want to make sure that we keep him on the screen. Stay engaged. I tell you what. Look what he said. And he wrote it down. So I'm gonna put it on the screen. Don't let what you are trying to say get in the way what people need to hear. Your message needs to be impacting. Sometimes in that midst of everyone communicates, few connect, you listen intentionally. Your message needs to resonate with people. Part of my speaking platform is that you have to engage me to listen. Set up the scene so you engage me to listen. You are helping me solve a problem in my life. Your book needs to help someone solve a problem in their life. As you say, I can write a novel, I can write a drama story, I can write this type of book, and someone might purchase the book, but you want to have an impact, you want to increase your influence, and the other part of that, you also want to increase your income.
And it's okay.
Absolutely.
Because the Bible says
okay.
the workman is worthy of his hire.
That's right. Man,
I'll tell you what. Professor Jeff, all too often we get caught up in trying to craft an image and a narrative that is not necessary to be done. We don't want people to think that we're greedy or that we are selfish or what have you. But self-care is important. Positioning yourself to have a sustainable income so that you can continue to provide the influence and the impact, there's nothing wrong with that. So when you monetize your message, that means that you have a methodology or that you have something to share that will lift up and elevate and help someone else to get better. You spoke earlier about the continual improvement and the necessity for continuing to grow. There's a concept in the medical community called neuroplasticity. And it says that the brain has the capacity until it's done to continue to grow and to expand and to learn and to experience. So that neuroplasticity is what we're looking for. Many people, too many people, are content with just being okay, being average, just being just enough. Why? Because if they, Marianne Williamson said, our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate, but that we're powerful beyond belief. And once we engage in, you want to say that again?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Marianne Williamson.
Hey, that's, come on now. You can't do that without coming back with that. You know, that's, as an effective communicator, Dr. Mack, as a person that's trying to capture the audience, once you throw those things out there, you see, I teach my speakers, you pause and you let the audience soak that in, because it's sinking into our spirit, it's sinking into our mind, and then while it's sinking in and we're trying to absorb it, then you repeat it again, then we have that, oh man, I got it. So here you go, you got it. One more time.
You get it. Marianne Williamson, she ran for president. She awesome thought leader. She said that our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate, but that we're powerful beyond belief. And if you really look at it, what it's saying is that our potential, our ability is so incredible, so dynamic, so powerful, that if we look at what we could be, what we should be, what we were designed to be, we look at that and it scares us. We're looking at it and it's almost like looking at the face of God, because it's so much bigger, so much more powerful. If you could do it by yourself, you don't need God, it's not big enough. The vision is too small. You know, if you can execute it and make it happen and manifest it in your own will, strength, and ability, then the vision isn't big enough. God says that I planted a desire in you, a seed of greatness in you that is waiting to be birthed, that's waiting to just expand and explode. There's a giant inside of all of us that wants to be awesome, that wants to be incredible. But the problem is we don't know how to unlock that, to open up and allow that giant to become the reality that we are. If we are a spirit being, that spirit being has the potential to just do exploits, do greater than anybody thought possible. But we're so caught up in that physical being, that flesh and blood, that finite being, that we don't allow ourselves to go to the next iteration of who we are and who we should and could be. So when we write that story, we have to make sure that we allow the glory that God has already planted within us that allows for greatness to occur. We have to allow that to find an avenue to be able to be expressed.
Woohoo! Samuel in Forney, Texas, Dr. Mack, you are the man.
But you know what? All of us are, but we have to allow ourselves to come into the. I've been focused on identity for some time. I'm doing a new training on what I call the authortude. That's the attitude of an author. If you're going to write that book, if you're going to use it as a brand building book that creates a sustainable income source for you, you have to develop an authortude. You have to believe that you are an author. Most people approach it like, I'm going to put this product out there. Now, we live in a digital information age. In this digital information age, you can take a digital distribution channel and leverage it to the point where you can have an incredible income. But in order to get to that point, or to do anything as an aspiring author, an emerging entrepreneur, just a businessman, or a person that wants to operate at peak performance, you can't do any of that until you get the mindset, that authortude, where you believe and understand that you are.
3 books came to mind while you were talking. I want to share these 3 books. 3 books came to mind, 3 different books that I've been exposed to, and 3 different books I've read, and 3 different books I use as part of my personal growth and my life journey. One is by James Allen, As a Man Thinketh, of course. So we'll see. Think, okay. And then the other one is by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. If you don't have that book, I recommend it, Think and Grow Rich. And I know you've heard that book. A lot of folks have heard of that book, but I use that book quite a bit. And the chapters are in there amazing. And then the third came the book came. It's called by Dr. Caroline Leaf, Switch on Your Brain. How to
Mm.
switch on your brain, how to take those negative thoughts and detox and reprogram that brain. Like the neuroplasticity that you referred to, the brain is malleable, it's a muscle, and it's still growing, and you have to exercise that muscle. And as you challenge that muscle, you get better, because that's what it is. When your head hurt, that means that your brain is working. You're using it for the right reason. There's a reason for that. That's part of the journey when that head hurts, when it's challenging to you. The more, if you haven't cracked crossword puzzles or any type of puzzles and different type of things, when you try new things, you challenging that brain to grow. When you try those different things, that neuroplasticity that you referred to earlier, that's the purpose of that growth. The brain is still growing. You can be 70, you can be 90, the brain is still growing. As you try new things, you developing your brain. And she talks about that in a book called Switch on Your Brain. She's a neuroscientist, and she talks about that, how to detox the brain and challenge those new things. And the same thing with Think and Go Rich. You try different things in what you talked about. That's how you grow, because the body follows the mind.
Exactly.
As you develop the mind and you add those positive things to your mind, guess what you do? As you educate yourself, you have a better lifestyle. And I like what my friend Paul Martinelli is the brainchild of the John Maxwell team, but right now is the Maxwell Leadership Enterprise, or the Maxwell Leadership Team. But I like what Paul Martinelli, I use him and I quote him quite often. And if you ever Google Paul Martinelli, you'll read about his story. Most people see the glory of him, but Paul Martinelli is a high school dropout, do not have a high school diploma, but he's the #1 leadership coach, personal development coach in the world. He has spoken to kings and queens and prime ministers and presidents all over this globe. But one of the things he said about that, don't let schooling, the brick and mortar, get in the way of your education. Because what you said, Dr. Mack, we're in a digital world. We're in a digital phase. So if you need to know anything, you can find it. You have access to it. And so your schooling, instant access. So your schooling or your education is continual growth. Access to information. Apply that information to your life. The brick and mortar is the building that you're in, but you don't have to be in a brick and mortar to get an education. You can get an education right here online. You can get an education by listening to podcasts. You can get an education by reading Dr. Mack's books. You can get an education by attending a mastermind. You can get an education by enrolling in an online class. Continual education is the key to your successful growth and development, to inspire until we expire, until God calls a home, because you get to awaken those gifts that Dr. Mack talked about. And so, Dr. Mack, thank you for firing us up today, sir.
I'm sorry I did that, because that means you're going to need to refire. But when you talk about the educational component and the continual and the digital component, right now, YouTube University is probably the most utilized educational resource in the world. Anything you need to know, from changing a battery on your watch to hanging drapes, whatever you need to know, you can go to YouTube and find a video that somebody's done. Awesome. Mm-hmm. But when you talked about those books, now I've read the first two, and I'll put it down. I'll be getting a Switch on Your Brain. But in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, he has a chapter on transmutation. And it's actually on sexual transmutation, and he says that that the energy and the power of sex is so important that it's so powerful that you have to transmute it, that you have to mutate it, you have to change it purposely, or change it and translate it into another form or another capacity. So the same thing is with ourselves. We have grown up. We were in all our whole lives. We've had parents and circle of trust, like parents, like pastors and teachers and preachers and family members pour into us. And we so that now wherever we are is a result of all these people pouring into us and all these experiences that we've had. And we walk in with undealt with childhood trauma, with ridicule and teasing, and kids can be so horrible, and adults can be even more horrible because they take advantage of people that are vulnerable. But when we look at all of that, we can transmute our mindset. We can change it. We have the ability to choose whether we're going to operate at a lower frequency of fear, frustration, or at the higher level benefits of faith and manifestation. And with faith, we get to manifest the things that we desire. And when we have a divine spiritual experience with our God, with our Father, we're able to now have a desire for the best and for more. And it's okay. Because when we transmute that situation, we change it to be able to become who is worthy of receiving what we want and what we've conceived. Now, what does that all have to do with writing a book? I'm glad you asked, because as you are focused, as you are focused on becoming that, developing that altitude, that translating and transmuting into the person capable of doing those exploits, of achieving that dream. As you do that, now you have developed a storyline. You have developed an info track, a digital information product that you can create. And once you create that, the beauty of it, I want to just kind of, I know that the time is fleeting, but I want you to say that the purpose of the book, we want to be able to use the book to open the door so we can travel the 7 seas. Of course, you want to know what the 7 seas are. Well, let me tell you. So you want to take that book. So we're going to take that book and let you take advantage of the 7 avenues of revenue. So you got coaching, consulting, you got challenges, courses, curriculum. You've got conference, convention, and corporate speaking opportunities. So all of that allows you to now have a sustainable income source. So developing a platform to take that book and put it on, and don't just entrust it to the giants like Amazon and what have you. They're going to collect all of your data, your metadata, so that you can't contact your client. But if you pull off of the social media platform and create your own digital distribution channel, now you'll be able to let people know, not only do I have the book, but I've got the workbook and the workshop. And I've also got T-shirts, pins, and cups, everything. So that now, look at what the TV preachers do. Every week they got a brand new book. Well, with our new program ASAP, we're going to be able to help you to be able to get published successfully as soon as possible, but not just write a book, not just any book. We want you to write a brand building book, the right book that's going to take your subject matter expertise, experience, and education and highlight it so we can show your insight and ideas and translate that into a monetization plan.
Dr. Mack, can I read this right quick, sir? You need to hear this because
Sure.
This is basically edifying. This is coming from Samuel because you just said a lot. I'm gonna pull up your website and different things about you in a few minutes, and I'm gonna ask a couple questions. But it says Samuel says, Professor Jeff, your program is uplifting and expanding consciousness to a higher wisdom. Thank you, Dr. Mack, for taking us to a higher level, sir. And he said, now, and Samuel just called the other listeners. He said, please, people, get on the train and have this expiring experience. Sir, get on the train, people. So Samuel, thank you for encouraging others out there to get on this train, because bringing people on Win with Willie Leadership Talk Show like Dr. Mack, my purpose is to inspire us to take us to another level. We all have our issues. We all have our challenges, but we all have a sense of faith and a sense of courage, and we can fight on, we can serve on, we can leave on, we can add on, we can impact people for many generations to come. We can lay a legacy that's going to impact life. As one author has said, I shall never die. What do you mean? You're going to defeat death? No, I'm not going to defeat death. No one has ever defeated death. But guess what? You can have a living legacy, because what you leave behind through the people that's reading your book, to the people that's listening to your podcast, to the seeds that you plant in your children, to the seeds that's passed on to your grandchildren in the next generation and the generation after generation. So Dr. Mack will live forever, because until this world is over, because what Dr. Mack is doing, his legacy shall never die. And so in essence, he's still alive, even though he's not walking the face of the earth. But guess what? His legacy is still alive and is still being planted. Dr. Mack, let me ask you this question. You have said a lot of things about, we're going to talk about in a minute, but talk about some of the challenges that you've had with your journey to get where you are. So people know that you mentioned the fact that you were on probation with your mom for a year, and that really enhanced your ability to read and become and fall in love with reading and fall in love with books. And some people don't realize that the value of that journey. Some people might look at punishment, but in essence, that was a reward. It's a mindset.
Exactly.
That was a reward.
It's
that was a reward. That was a reward. So let's talk about some of the challenges that you have, so people know that you also have some challenges also.
I think the most challenges are internal, and there's a spectrum. On one end of it is the imposter syndrome, and on the other end is the Superman syndrome. So in the imposter syndrome, you don't think that you're worthy, that you're good enough. You don't think that nobody wants to hear what you have to say. They want to read your book. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not enough to write a book. Who do I think I am to write a book? And on the other end is the Superman syndrome that says, I'm entitled to everything. I'm the best. I can save the world and solve every problem every day. I'm just awesome. And inside, you know that you're just parroting words, but that you say that so that you could give the impression or the illusion that you are. So the real person, the imposter, it needs to be dealt with, and you need to realize that you are good enough, that you are more than enough. And the Superman syndrome has to be dealt with, because we need to stay humble as we are hungry. But as we move forward toward our next iteration, for me, it was realizing that so many people saw the genius in me. So many people saw the power and the potential and the ability within me. And yet they were frightened. They were afraid. And I was even more afraid. I saw that I had the potential to bless thousands of people, that I had the ability to inspire people. And I could see it and I know it. But what happened was I was pulling back, afraid, shrinking back. Zig Ziglar talked about stinking thinking, and that your mind is rotten. Yes. Because you haven't elevated. But I think that shrinking thinking is even worse, because you have the ability, you have the skill, you are awesome, but yet you choose to operate at a lower level. You choose to shrink back and not allow the greatness to be expressed within you. And the world is waiting for it and begging for it. So I think that's been the biggest bane of my existence, that I looked at the fact that people were impacted by what I did or said. And number one, I didn't want to disappoint them. I didn't want them to think that I was less than I thought I was. So I tried to control the narrative. And the best way to control that narrative is to shrink back. Because I find that most of my clients have a fear of finishing. We go through this entire process, and writing a book with me is therapeutic, because I extract out of you. I'm not going to write it for you, and you don't have to write it yourself, but we show you how to pull it out of you and to speak your book into existence. And when people are finished with that, they just want to continue the experience, because no one has allowed them to speak of those childhood traumas, dramas, and issues that are just affecting them, that has them stuck in certain areas of their life. So when you're able to express and to get that whole message out, that whole thought pattern out, and have someone listen to you without judgment or without interruption, that's the most freeing experience in the world. And if that extraction is done in the right manner, somebody can take a hold to it and get a slice of your soul and be able to understand how to overcome difficulties that you was able to get through. The Bible talks about walking in the path of a hind's foot. The hind was a mountain type goat or antelope that can walk up the side of steep cliffs and crags. Well, when you walk in the exact pattern and step that they walk, you'll be able to navigate that same situation. And that's what God has called me to do, is to lead people to a position where they can monetize their message and liberate and leverage their life so they can start living at the point and the privilege and the position that God called and designed them for.
Reaching your God-given fullest potential.
Yes.
What a powerful message. What a powerful message. Dr. Mack, I tell you what, sir, you have caused us to drop the mic and get busy. Ladies and gentlemen, he has called us to action. There's a story in all of us. And Dr. Mack, how can people get in touch with you and then take them on a journey of getting in touch with you? I'm going to share your website, I'm going to share your email address as well. And so talk about how people can get in touch with you and the journey that you're going to take them on to get their voice out there, to get their message out there, to get that story on paper.
Well, acceleratedselfassistedpublishing.com. You can go leave a contact message. We'll do a free 45-minute, no obligation publication consultation. So we're going to work with you to see if you're the right fit for us and if we're the right fit for you, because we have a very specific set of principles that we follow. So we're not accepting anybody. We're starting a class on July the 18th, the 11th, which will be every Monday for 12 weeks. When you graduate and complete that class, you will have a complete book, a published book. But also, you'll be able to have the book, the look, and the hook. By that, I mean, my latest book is called PB4X. And PB4 means a published book plus a polished brand times a proven blueprint equals a profitable business. So we're going to show you how to go from blank page to not only bestseller, but show you how to GPS, get paid successfully. So if you go there, more information, you can text me, you can email me at getpublishedsuccessfully@gmail.com. You can call me at 469-537-8905. Again, 469-537-8905.
8905. I'm putting that up there, sir, so they can see it. 8905. And guess what? I want people to see that as well. You guys get that number, 469-537-8905. You can call him. He'll answer the call.
I will answer
text you back. He'll answer the phone. I'm telling you, he will answer the call. You get the book, you get the hook, and you get the look.
Well, the look is that we want to polish your brand so that when they get on your website, when they look at you on social media, when they look at you on any online source, that they see a congruency. They see a consistency of message, of branding, of colors, of fonts, of logo, so that you look like the author. And then the proven blueprint is that what you can automate in this sales process you do, and what you can't automate, you want to delegate so that you can relegate yourself to doing the things to help people navigate to the next level.
Absolutely amazing. And I'm going to challenge my audience. That's what I'm going to do. Those are listening live. You guess what? You can replay this on those 3 Facebook channels. You can go to LinkedIn. It's there as well. You can replay it on LinkedIn. You can also go to YouTube and replay, and you can even download from my YouTube channel. What am I saying? That you need to listen to this again. You need to listen to this maybe 3 times. You need to replay it because it's helping program, as Dr. Caroline, switch on your brain, reprogram those thoughts, live to your full potential. I'm leaving Dr. Mack's email address and phone number because you can reach him there fairly quickly. If you don't go to his website, just give him a call or give him a text. I'll email him. He'll definitely reply back. Absolutely. But I want to challenge you as well. I want to challenge us, and I want to challenge you to do this. Dr. Mack's email address is still there, but I want to challenge you to go to my YouTube channel and download this video. Put it in your archives. Put it in your podcast, whatever you need to do. But I want you to listen to what the message coming from Dr. Mack today. But I'm also going to challenge you with this as well. I want you to do this as well. Coming up tomorrow, I have a webinar. I would love for you to join me on that webinar, how to become an effective. It's tomorrow, June the 30th at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. There's a link for it below right under that, but I want you to go to that site and find that webinar and join that webinar, how to become an effective listener. Because not only are you listening for those around you, but you're also listening to yourself as well. What is being said to you? And I want you to do that. So please, how to become an effective listener. God has a wonderful sense of humor. He has given us one mouth, and I know you heard this before, and 2 ears. So we need to listen more than we talk. And I'm hoping that you got a chance to listen to the talk master today, to take notes from this phenomenal talk master, take notes from this phenomenal trainer, take notes from this phenomenal communicator, take notes from this phenomenal coach, take notes from this phenomenal man of God, because he is absolutely amazing. At the end of the day, all those accolades and all those titles, at the end of the day, I call him my friend. That's what I call him. I call John Mack my friend. It has been absolutely wonderful, Dr. Mack, to have you on the show today. Sir, you have dropped some amazing inspirational nuggets, pieces of information to help us to move the needle in our life. I am so proud. I have been waiting for this moment with bated breath. It took us a while to get here, sir, but we are here now. And I appreciate, and my audience, if you know, it took me some time to get my friend on the show. The right time, the right season, and we have the right audience listening today to listen and to go out and do what Dr. Mack is asking us to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to challenge you. Please, every Wednesday at 11 o'clock. I said 11:30, but I meant to say 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Come back and get some more C's from men and women that's on this show that's adding value to our life on Win with Willie Leadership Talk Show. And I'm going to repeat myself again. I want you to go back and play this because this has been an absolutely blessing to me. It has fed my soul. This has fed my spirit. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to join me next week. See you next week. Remember, 2022, the year of no excuses. And you and I and Dr. Mack and the rest of us, we need to inspire until we expire.